What's happening, my beautiful people? My name is Dirty Mike, and welcome back to another episode of 40 and 40, where you see all of my weekend journey. And I pushed this video back because last weekend I had disconnects on disconnects on disconnects, and it ruined my weekend and ruined my February in terms of anything with qualification. And this is my first week of February. I'm not going to spoil any of the results. If you've been on Twitter, you've been on Facebook, then you might have an idea. But if you enjoy this series and you want to see more of it, make sure to drop a thumbs up. Definitely the video that takes the longest for me to create. But I kind of like sharing my experiences, whether they were good, they were bad, or somewhere in between with all of you guys at home. And I might not have too many of these in February, but going back into March, as long as EA doesn't have strange disconnects and suspect servers, you will see them back to every single week, guaranteed. And in the comments with the Americas region coming up right now, FUT Champs, who are your top 3 predictions? Xbox and PlayStation. Put them in the comments right now. Don't cheat yourself. I will be at that event, by the way, in Miami, but I'm not competing. I'm working there as an administrator. So if you're in Miami, let me know. Maybe we can do some kind of meet and greet. I'm down to kick back, but let's get right into this joint. If you want to make your own custom snapbacks and hats like the one you see right here, Bronze Bench, roll clip.
Catbeast.com. Design your own custom snapbacks and hats.
And we are underway. And I'm going to talk briefly about the squad. I like to do this. I know it doesn't shift a lot. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time talking about the squad. I'd rather get into the FUT Champions tournament that's coming up. There's been so much exposure, so much hype. We've already seen the European Championships where TAS was the overall winner. Congratulations. Vitality Rocky also qualified. We saw all sorts of different results that were unpredictable, and I actually believe that we're going to see more of the same going into the Americas region. I would say more than half the players are kind of unknown in terms of this is going to be their introduction to the competitive scene. It's not that they've never been good at the game or they've never gone to an event or a tournament, but this is it. This is the big show. This is the big stage. And in terms of viewership and just people that didn't normally follow the competitive scene, because whether you want to admit it or not, unless you were involved in the competitive community as a player, most likely you did not follow competitive FIFA before this year's installment too heavily. Maybe you checked what happened in the FIFA Interactive World Cup, but that's about it. You might not have been that involved on World Gaming, on Gamer Saloon, on Virgin Gaming, or involved in the World Finals with World Cyber Games, or ESWC, or even FIFA Interactive World Cup. This could all be new to you this year, and welcome. Happy to have you. But let's talk about the squad briefly, and then I'll get into all the FUT Champs details, who you should watch for. One of the most frequently asked questions I'm getting right now, Mike, who's going to win the event? Who's your favorites? Who's your top 3? And I did notice that Marbs was not on the list, which means Marbs is not going, and I'd love to know why, because he would have been somebody that I would have told you should watch out for this guy Marbs, because he's been performing online every single week or weekend. We say, you know, you can't count on that many things in life, but you can count on Marbs getting 38 plus wins every single weekend. Doesn't matter how he starts. So if you're watching this video, Marbs, I'd love to know. Drop a comment. Maybe I'll pin that comment for people to see, because I just know there's a lot of hype, maybe even some expectation. Maybe that's what happened. He didn't want to be involved in that major expectation. But I can't see why you would turn down an opportunity to make money unless it was an emergency, which could have also happened. I don't want to speculate too much. I just noticed his name wasn't on the list. With the squad, you guys have seen this back line: Alaba, Boateng, Kyle Walker, and Smalling all day. It's good. It's solid. You could use it. Neuer and net. We've seen all that. The only change that I made with this team compared to what you've been seeing in a lot of my squad builders was that I now have Georgie Best, a true cam, where I was using Hullet before as a cam, and this was a big difference. You're going to notice it in the gameplay, and I've got the stats for you guys. I added clean sheets into this weekend league as another stat. If there's anything you want to see, the comments, they're your friend. I read through the comments. I get back to people as best as I can. And I do take suggestions and feedback, of course. So that's another stat that I've added into the 40 and 40. So we have goals, we have assists, we have goals conceded, or goals allowed, however you want to put that out there. Conceded works. It just sounded strange when I said it for some reason. And remember, this is more of a conversation piece when I put out this video, I'm going to have to speak for a long time. So it's not necessarily going to be super high energy. This is happening and that is happening. But more you and I, we're sitting down, we're having a convo about what's happening in the FIFA world, what's going down in the weekend league, what you should expect, what you should do, what you should stay away from. We've talked a lot about formations, tactics, just you name it. A little bit of everything. You're all in one stop if you're trying to get that FIFA game right. That's kind of what my channel's been built around, is I would say tutorials and tips with entertainment. So bam, I'm going to intertwine them. And I'm hoping to get some help with editing in the future, which would allow me to shift maybe more towards FIFA-tainment. I'm going to say that, where it's even more entertaining, because then I can focus on being more of the personality and creative ideas. And maybe if I need to film multiple bits. For example, let's say I wanted to add a lot of football into my content. I need time to go and film that football, and then somebody else could include it into a video. That would be excellent. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this. I know it's off topic, but most big YouTubers have a dedicated editor or editors, and they no longer edit their videos. I've always wondered what people felt about that, or how people felt regarding people editing content for the consumers, or for the content creators, I should say, that you're watching day in and day out, or week in and week out. Does that change anything for you as someone who enjoys that person's content? Because for me, I understand as a business, if you can branch out and get help or get expertise, or somebody that is a special person in that facet of the project, then you should do it. That it's going to benefit your content, benefit your final production, and people can appreciate that. And then maybe it allows you to do what you're doing best, whether that's playing the game, whether that is you as a personality, whether that's ideas, wherever you want to allocate your time. Maybe it's with marketing or networking, or the emails. I don't know, but if you can afford to have multiple people in position, and most big YouTubers, and I don't want to mention names because I'll just leave it off, people that you would assume though, they have, they got an agent, they've got a manager, they have a social media guru or an expert, maybe somebody helping them with SEO, then they have an editor and a videographer or a cinematographer, something along those lines. They've got quite a few dedicated positions to help make this dream work, because once you get to a point where you're so big, and I'm way a long distance, or what is the Star Wars, a galaxy far away, yeah, I'm not in comparison to anybody like that at all. But when you get to a certain point, your brand is so big that you need to have these pieces in rotation to make it work, to make it all come together. Because if you did it all yourself, well, there's no way. You would start having to, I'm going to have to trade this for that. Like, my content's going to have to go down, but I'll have more time to do emails. Okay, I can have this meeting, but I'm not going to be able to edit that video. You're going to have to make a trade, and that's not what it's all about. Normally, you don't want to do that. Got the Umbro joint on. Oh, we're rambling a little bit today. We're all over the spot. And this is going to be, I don't want to make this a crazy spoiler, but this is my best weekend league I've ever had, this video. And in the title, it might kind of talk about that. I'm not sure if I'm giving that into the title, if I'm throwing that out there or not, but the big change was really George Best. He finishes as good as Ronaldo. That's pretty much all I can say. There's been very few players that have had that Ronaldo-esque feel on the pitch. And I'm not talking about being that type of striker or something along those lines. George Best isn't a striker. He's a center attacking mid. But he just has the ability, if I know he's on his left, we're good. If he's on his right, we're good. If it's outside the box, we're good. Inside the box, no problem. Tight quarters. And that's something that's very special when you're looking at attacking players. When you're looking at guys that cost 1.5 million coins, these are the types of expectations that you're going to create for these types of guys. Why wouldn't you? I always said, if Ronaldo's not leading in goals or assists, then maybe he's not for you. Spend your money elsewhere. And the kind of the same goes for Best. If he's not putting on a show, if he's not impactful, if he's not making a big difference on your team, or Ruud Gullit, if they're not doing what they need to be doing, then they're costing you too much in terms of the coinage. Try somebody else out. Make a different investment. Make a different move. But let's talk about FUT Champions. Player profile time, my friends. And we're going to start with the Xbox One division versus the PS4. I'm not as familiar with the PS4, but at the same time, a lot of these Xbox One guys I've never seen at events either. I can just talk about online presence, if they carry over that type of form, but I'm expecting many results to be unpredictable. But I am going to give you my, I guess, top 3 favorites, and that's kind of what I asked you guys to do in the comments. It wouldn't be right if I didn't say this. Now, they could be completely wrong, but I'm going to justify my choices. Before we get into those top 3, let's just talk about everybody that we see on here. And I've got the list pulled up over here. We have Alexander, who had a very consistent, I think he finished number 1 overall on the leaderboards. I played him one time, and I think I lost 1-0 or 2-1. A lot of really slow gameplay, holding the shield button heavy. But the game's evolved. I played against them. I'm talking, this had to be October, November, right when the game came out. So who knows? But if you're patient, I will say patience translates well into live events. And in a live event, the gameplay is slower. And not slower as in you have button delay. Now, I want to make sure that you understand. Not slower as in you have button delay or you have issues. No, not that. Just slower in terms of the actual speed of play is not as fast. Online seems to speed that up a tad bit, especially if it's clean connection. I'm also looking forward to just seeing how everybody's going to do under these bright lights, because this is a new experience for many people. So now we've got FIFA Beast, who I wasn't familiar with, but I did check out his player profile. I've got all these pulled up, and he apparently has competed in a few Gfinities, which anybody could do, and he got second at the Adidas MLS Cup, which I want to say that Gastella, also known as Joe, won that MLS Cup, and he's in this tournament. So that's someone who's been around the competitive community a lot. But we're going to go through these. We have Andy Loco, which I don't even recognize these names. Some of these players, I wonder if they took competitors from places outside of just online. So the way that qualification works, it's the top 12 online spots, guaranteed. And then spot 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, or sorry, 13, 14, 15, 16. So the next 4 spots can be live events that are sanctioned from EA. But I'm not sure if they issued any of those for Season 1. And I'm not even confident if they're going to issue them for Season 2. EA is kind of known to do things on the slide. Maybe some secret emails are going down. Maybe there's events happening that you're not aware of. Even someone like myself is not aware of. A pop-up event that EA decided they wanted to throw. If any of you guys that are watching this video know if all the spots for Xbox or PlayStation are online, or if there were any live events, I'd love for you to detail that. Link it, actually, if there's any articles, if there was some coverage, something along those lines, because I just don't remember seeing any announcements within this Season 1 live EA-sanctioned events. And if it was open to anyone, then it's really a problem. Why didn't they market this? Why didn't they promote it at all? For example, DreamHack, anybody could have gone to in Europe. That was one of their Season 1 qualifiers. And then ESWC, of course, we were all aware of the qualifiers and kind of the process to get to ESWC. So at least you knew what was going down. That was their 2 EA-sanctioned events. And I don't think there's anything along those lines for the Americas, which remember is North and South America. We got a lot of Brazilians. It says this guy, Andy Loco, is a 2-time Brazilian FIFA champion, but I don't know what that means. What did he win? Because when I'm thinking Brazilian players, I've been around a long time, but you had a guy named Chev, who was very, very good for a long time, and same with Buffo, but that was a while ago. I just don't know what that means. Like, how do they have Brazilian champions? Did they win a FIFA Interactive World Cup? He couldn't have, because it would have been here. It would be on what we're looking at here in terms of a list. I'm sure they're looking for accomplishments. Now we got Aishmang, who really interests me. I'm so curious. I've never played against this guy. At least I don't recall matching up with him. But he's been finishing, even now, he's finishing 38, 39, 40 wins every single weekend. So that's good money. Great consistency. Has to be a great player. I want to see how he shows up. I don't know what to tell you in terms of formations. A lot of you guys probably played some of these people. So if you have, we can do the scoop together and kind of figure out, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that's really interesting. Because you're going to have access to anybody and everybody you could ever want in this tournament, okay? You have a player pool that you can choose from, whether it's Pele or you want Akinfenwa. Anybody, the world is yours. So we got Aishmang. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of info about him. I'm reading the bios of some of these guys, just same as you are. Rodrigo Digo, don't know anything about him. Yeah, Javier Munoz. This guy is a Colombian, I believe. Yes. So it says that he's included 9 Colombian national tournaments, which is something, once again, I'm not aware of. But then again, I don't speak Spanish. Maybe they're happening, and I didn't know. But I remember this guy got second, I believe. Yeah, runner-up finish, 2011 FIFA Interactive World Cup. So this guy's been to quite a few live events. And he might be a sleeper. And I've played against him online this year. I don't remember the result. I just recognize the tag. So I know I've played against this guy in FIFA this year in FUT Champs. So, best of luck to him. But I would definitely say that he could be an underdog. Maybe I shouldn't say underdog. He could be a sleeper. Because he has the accomplishments, and a lot of people are speculating, and they're only talking about the Americans, and you're forgetting that there's North and South America, and there's a lot of badass players that come out of South America, and I just don't think they're getting some of the exposure or some of the interest levels, because in the westernized market over here, I just see everybody saying, okay, who's the U.S. guy, who's this, who's that, and I don't think you should leave off the possibility of someone from South America coming and winning the show, or even multiple people. I mean, top 3 will get you to Berlin, and that's kind of what the goal is. Everybody coming to this tournament, yeah, that's the goal. Like a number of competitors. I'm looking at the next guy here. Carbajal FGE. It's coming from Mexico, but no idea. No idea. Competed against legendary FIFA player. This is on his accomplishments. He's competed against legendary FIFA player and streamer Edwin Castro. That's a strange accomplishment. If you think about it, Castro's played probably 1,500 games of FIFA. I think a lot of people have probably played against Castro, right? I don't know if that counts as like a competitive accomplishment, but I get with some of these guys, they just don't have the resume yet. So I want to talk about Gustella, who is going to be one of my 3 on the Xbox that I say is a favorite, because he's probably qualified to 5 FIFA Interactive World Cups. Played against him in a World Cyber Games. He's been around the FIFA community since 2008, 2009 area, and he's been very consistent. And this is what I know. This is what I can tell you guys. Guys like Gustella, guys like Amon that have played so many live events, whether they play good or bad, that's on them. Kind of like me. That's on me or on them, whatever, if you're at an event. But with the experience they have, I don't think they're going to play nervous. So if they play good, they play good. If they play bad, they play bad. If they play somewhere in between, so be it. But you're not going to miss opportunities. They're not going to, fluff this or screw that up because they were nervous or because of the moment. I don't think that'll be a deciding factor for them. And when we go through this list a little bit more, we have Amon. They haven't done his player profile yet, but I can tell you a lot about Amon. He's been to a couple Virgin Gamings, did the World Cyber Games. He's won a couple national titles at least. And we've seen him on Twitch. We've seen him this year competing. Played in the Gamer Saloon Pro League. Amon's another one of my favorites. Both of those guys have to be there because it's the first event we've seen. So we don't know a lot about any of these players. And I just know they have more experience than the other people that are on this list. We also have A9 Skills, who slid in there. Happy days for him. I'll get to meet you in Miami. Good luck. I think that A9 could put some pressure on people in a way that's different than other competitors. So A9 really has no expectation. If he wins a game, people be like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm not saying that he can't do a lot better than just win a game. I just don't think people have a major expectation for him as a competitive player, which kind of puts him in a good position. Anything you do good is above the normal, and people might feel that pressure also playing A9. I feel like there's more exposure. Maybe you're going to think, oh, this video or this game is going to be broadcasted to more people, or the vice versa. And I always hated feeling this way. Oh, I'm supposed to beat this guy. He's a YouTuber. I'm supposed to win this game. He's a YouTuber, and I'm a competitive player, or I'm a pro player. I need to win this match. And if you put extra pressure on yourself, man, you start to miss those one-on-ones. Game stays 0-0 for a little bit. Maybe A9 goes up 1-0. You're starting to feel a lot more heat. You know, the cameras are watching. The live stream is going. The commentators, oh, yeah, they're going to talk about it. But I think Skilled could definitely surprise some people. And congratulations again for him qualifying. And I know I've talked about this on my channel, but if you guys are asking, Mike, why aren't you qualified for November? I didn't try in November. I was just making tips and tutorials, and I live streamed some of the FUT Champs, but I didn't know that it was going to be this big. I had no idea this was going to be a thing in FIFA, and I did a poor job anticipating how serious you need to take it, and I just didn't. I don't think I even completed the 40 games on a couple of those weekends. Like, it's like, cool, you know, I've got 30 wins or 32 wins, good, you know, and I just stopped playing. And then here we are, where if you would have had 35 wins consistently every single weekend, you would have been good to go for this event. Because it was early stages of FIFA, people didn't have all the super squads just yet, and if you were better than people when FIFA came out, then you had an advantage here. It would work for you, but it's something I regret. But we still got Season 2 where I did finish 15th, and I don't know if that's going to give me a spot. There's 16 spots, so in my mind, I'm sitting here thinking, like, I got to have good odds to qualify. But who knows? EA's one of those companies, and even with the competitive events, I feel like anything can happen. They can shake it up. Maybe they're going to do a bunch of live events, and until you have confirmation from EA, don't think you're in the clear. And that's not a put down to EA. That's a good way of looking at everything in life. If you don't have confirmation, you don't have a contract signed and dotted line, bang, we're on there, you put your John Hancock, then you should not assume that it's going to be good, especially with how much people talk without having that walk behind it, right? They say you're a talker, not a walker, and that's a reality in life right now. So many people want to be about doing this, or they want to be involved in business, or they want to be involved in this company, and a lot of them just don't have the experience yet, or they don't have the execution, so they end up just talking about it and not truly being about it. But those are going to be my top two, and I think I'm going to go with number 3, and I would have really debated, let me go through a few more players. I really would have debated putting Marbs as my number 3, but he's not even on the list anymore. So we've got Prodigy, Piero DSP25, who I've played twice, I think, online. I think one of them I won, one of them I lost recently. It was actually in a 40 and 40 video. I think it might be in the video before this. Piero DSP25. I think I lost 4-3, and I don't remember the first result, but it's definitely on YouTube if you want to see it. It's not like a dedicated video. You have M. Restrino, who's always in that top function. Like, he's usually about top 20, top 15. He's always right there. So he's been very consistent. Kid Mamito. I've seen him play against Shant a couple times. I want to say he rocked a couple 5 at the back. So you guys know I'm not a big fan of the 5 at the back action. But I think at number 3, I'm going to put this Janice CFI or CFL. The guy that has played in the FIFA Interactive World Cup a couple times. He's had good results. He's showed up. He's played with pressure. He's played with expectation, and he's been able to have decent results. So we're going to go with the Colombian. Is in my top 3 with Costello and Amon. And that does not mean these Brazilian guys or other people that I'm just not aware of or brand new people on the scene are not going to be competitive. I think that anybody could win this event. I want to make that very clear. I'm just taking favorites, and I'm basically going off of experience. When I'm looking at, why are you saying this? Why are you making these predictions, Mike? You're going to be wrong. Well, I'm bold enough to put it into a video, and I'm just basing it on experience because I know in live events there is a lot of pressure. Even the guys that are very experienced, they played a lot of tournaments. They have that under their belt. I still expect Amon, Gastella, this Janos. I expect all of them to be sweaty hands and definitely to have some jitters in the stomach, all that good stuff. But I know that they've been able to get through it in the past, so I'm assuming they're going to be able to get through it once again. Let's talk about the PS4, and I feel as if I don't know much about some of these PS4 guys. I'm going to have to click on profiles, and hopefully, maybe I just don't know tags, but I've recognized some of the names, because I've been around the pro scene so long that I feel like, how can I not know who some of these guys are? And they used to run, FIFA Interactive World Cup was always a PS4 or a PS3 tournament exclusively. It wasn't this Xbox and PlayStation. So we've got Mohammed 7. Came back down last game of qualifying. Good for him. He slid in there. X-Blue. I'm just seeing what they have for bio. The bio will tell me very quickly if they know something that I don't know. Like, the first thing that EA wants to put is that he's been to tournaments, that they've won events. But first 2 right here, X-Blue, no previous live competitive experience. So it's hard for me to talk about that. At least that's how I feel. All right. I see. It's a bunch of the same. And the PlayStation I'm not as familiar on because I don't play it as often. I mean, I do have an Xbox, I do have a PlayStation, but I feel like once you start building up one console, building up one platform, because you have to spend either money, time, or both to build these great squads and to kind of develop your gameplay, it's hard to go back and forth unless you're forced to do that. Let me see what he's got here. We're looking at JKO 1707. Once again, they're actually talking more about his history as a person versus his history as a player, which tells me he has a good story, but it doesn't tell me they know much about him going to tournaments. So I'm just glancing through the same as you guys. Uh-oh, this guy. No stranger to competitive FIFA. Wow, this guy's old. I think he's older than me, and he's been around longer than me. His name is Ali Macklin. No stranger to competitive FIFA, born and raised in Santiago, Chile. I've been there. And he made his debut 13 years ago at the World Cyber Games, which I was talking about. That was a competitive event. They no longer do the World Cyber Games. But that's you've been around. You've played live events. We'll see. That's interesting. Guy's got to be 2000. Because I think you would think he had to be at least 16 for that the World Cyber Games that he was a part of, which would put him. He's got to be in his 30s. Old timer. Well, I'm rooting for you, man. Let's see what else we have. Nigeria. Okay, we're looking at Chimzuru. Nice. Postgraduate studies, smart guy. But see, they're telling you more about the players. Christopher Diddley Crislito. Holly is another competitor. I feel like he did pretty good. I want to say that I saw this guy in the leaderboards the whole time. He must have been like in the upper second place. There you go. He'll need to find a way to translate his online success to the big stage. Thank you, EA. Sorry, guys. I'd love to give you more information, but I have to go off of what's kind of in front of us. Oh, we got a German player that's now moved to the U.S. Moved in 9th grade. Probably an exchange student. That's cool. With Christian 96. Germans are badass at FIFA, so beware. You've been warned. But see, I'm yet to read a profile. I swear, I can't believe this. I'm yet to read a profile that talks about their pro tournaments and things along those lines outside of Old Timer. Outside of Old Timer. Other than that, the rest of these guys, no info. So I could give y'all 3 random names, but it's hard to say. I almost want to say on the PS, though, maybe we're going to see a player from Brazil who has tournament experience in Brazil come through and really show up. It means a lot to those guys, too. $30,000 means a lot to anybody, but I know the passion of Brazilian guys that are just into football and how they support everything there, and I know they're going to take this event extremely serious. I would not be surprised on both the Xbox and the PlayStation if we see somebody from Brazil or somebody from South America really come in and just tear it up. And stars are made in this tournament. We've seen that with the FUT Champs, where we went to the rest of the world, and it was Mr. Dunn in the final against another Saudi. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are quality players from Saudi Arabia, though. Shouldn't be slept on, but we just don't get the exposure. I don't. I would not know those types of players. I would not have been introduced unless it was via FIFA Interactive World Cup, because I've never seen them in other tournaments, really. And I can't think of big-time results that people from, I guess you've got that region is kind of like Asia. And, yeah, it's the Asian region. Most of them don't travel well, other than Mr. Dunn, he won the Xbox and he came second overall when they played the PS versus Xbox. That was a really good matchup, actually. Enjoyed that a lot. But Mr. Dunn's been to multiple FIFA Interactive World Cups. He actually won a FIFA Interactive World Cup. I played against him in ESWC. I played against him in the Maldives at, what was that tournament? What did they the World Series of Video Games, which was an interesting event. It was a very unique place to have at the Maldives Islands, which is, I believe that's under India. I've never traveled so long in my life to get somewhere because they flew me out very backwards. So I've given you my favorites. Does not mean they're going to win. I'll give you my favorites, though, for the Xbox guys. And for the PlayStation, if you know something, get in the comments, because I could read player profiles. And they weren't even very informative either. I don't think EA knows much about these guys. And that's kind of what I expected. Just not as aware. And we've seen so many household names with the Europeans, because a lot of the old heads or the guys that have been around in the competitive community are the same ones that qualified to the regional in Europe. And I think it's because they had to be so damn perfect. So let's say you wanted to get into competitive FIFA and you're European. Those guys were 38, 39 every single weekend at least. So the guys that were making that happen on a consistent basis were often the pro players throughout the years. Because if you just picked up FIFA, to have that level of consistency, even if you picked it up a couple years ago, just to have that level of consistency with your results, tough. You'd have a better chance of maybe qualifying from an actual live event versus trying to qualify online and just praying to the FIFA guys that you don't get a disconnect, because that ruins everything. One disconnect and you might be set off of winning an event. In other news, you see me over here coasting. And my death zone is always, after I've won 10 games in a row, 10 to 20, I almost always lose a game. And that's not going to change with what we've seen in this matchup. Let me take a energy drink break. And I put out a video with Tass earlier this week where we talked about skill rating. And Tass made it very simple. He said, look, the earlier you play the games, the higher the skill rating, and it's not deeper than that. And sad, but he might be right, because I play a lot of games typically on Sunday. My skill rating is always squad douche. It's terrible. And it's not because I avoid players. And that's what I've always been wondering. And I've always debated rage quits because less game time is being played. And based on the algorithm, what I was reading up on the system of matching up, and I was thinking, look, they could be looking at minutes played. And if they're looking at minutes played, I'm playing less minutes if I have a ton of rage quits. I still think they play a part, but that would make sense for the more games you play on Sunday, lower skill rating. And if it comes down to you being tied or you're drawn even, it's an issue. Look at me, for example. So I tied with 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th. We're all tied for the second season that's happening in Vancouver. And because of that draw situation, instead of being 12th, I was 15th. It wasn't a big spread between us, but I can't ever anticipate myself winning off skill rating. I just can't see it happening. Not based on what I've seen happen through the FUT Champions matchups and what I've been dealing with in terms of, is it high, is it low, is it somewhere in between? And I want to talk about that cam position too. If you play a 4-1-2-1-2, a 4-3-1-2, anything that's cam driven, we're going to transition back to that for a little bit. That guy is going to make or break your team. And that's why I was using Hullet for a while, because I didn't feel comfy with a lot of the other cams I had, and I knew he was going to be on the ball. I knew he was going to be put into positions where I have to have you finishing. I need you to bump through somebody. You got to do a skill move. You need to take that long shot. You've got to be that playmaker. But now that I have George Best, oh man, I don't know if there's someone better. When I look at these playmakers, you want to have that quick, skillful guy, ideally. The George Best, Ben Arfa is a good shout if you want to go cheap or much cheaper. Del Piero's, if you can't do legends. Messi's a true number 10 playmaker or creator. He's very agile. The Insignias, the Merdens. Man, Merden's got some cards this year. I always wonder about Dybala too, if you get away with playing him as a cam instead of as a striker, even though he is qualified as a striker. Very similar to Griezmann. If you like Griezmann as a striker, you like Dybala as a striker. However, I didn't enjoy using Griezmann as a center attacking mid. I tried that this year. It didn't work. I'm not sure if it deals with him being left-footed, or if it deals with him not having a right foot, or if it's maybe his positioning is only good to go up top, because I do like it up top. That's no debating. One of the best positioned strikers. And I think most of us would agree, our most competitive players or pro players, really good players, would agree that his positioning is something that makes him gifted and talented, because he finds places on the pitch to get the rebound. He finds places to be positioned to receive the sweat, to receive the inline pass across. You need to be able to get those tramp goals. You need the easy finishes. You need the tough ones. You need a lucky bounce sometimes, especially if you're trying to go 35 plus wins. If you can get 35 plus wins consistently, then you're in the top tier of all top tier FIFA players. And then there might even be one tier ahead of that, where you're looking at the guys that are like 38, 39, 40 every single weekend. Maybe they're like God tier or something like that. I believe you can get a lead every weekend that you're a great player. Like you're sick at this FIFA. It's a great FIFA for you. Now there's a tier above that, but I still believe you can go 29 and 11, 30 and 10, 31 and 9. That you got something special. This is a year that you have a lot of potential in, and it could be very minor details. in terms of changing that result. Whether it's, okay, I wish I would have closed out this game a little bit better, or I don't know how to take penalties that well, or I fall apart when I'm going down. Maybe you start losing a match and you start to feel a lack of composure. And I've always stressed the big three in terms of what makes you a great FIFA player, what's going to give you consistent results. It's going to be, number one, your composure. And not in order necessarily, but number two, how clinical are you? And number three is going to be, can I get a drum roll? Defense. Defense wins championships, and that will never change. It doesn't matter how good you are at the game, how well versed you are attacking, if you can't stop anybody. It's a problem. It doesn't matter if you make 15 chances but you only score 2. That's a problem. Okay? And then your composure is going to be moment-based, situational. Defensively, offensively, in the midfield, everything. Okay, I'm winning this game 2-1. How do I close it out? Or I'm down 2-1. What do I need to do next? What kind of a tactical adjustment do I need to make? Oh, man, this guy's bringing a lot of pressure. Do I go deep here? Do I try to pass out? Can I hit a 1-2? Or am I rushed? I can't stress how important composure is on the ball. If you take this shot too early, it doesn't go in. You ever played somebody who complained saying that, oh, man, I had 12 shots. But dude, 11 of them from outside the box. Or they were shots maybe inside the box that you shouldn't even be shooting from that angle. And people will complain that they didn't get the bounce, or they didn't receive some luck, or you didn't deserve to win that match. It's like, well, I think your choice or your shot selection was a problem. Your lack of patience was a problem. Your lack of composure was a problem, was an issue. That's what I think. Not all shots or opportunities are created equal. This is not how it goes down, okay? You could 100% be in a position in a match where I have 4 shots, 4 on target, and that guy has 10 shots with, 5 on target, and I'm winning 3-0. That happens. And in the pro world or in the competitive scene, also, you see that all the time. In fact, you'll see more matches where it's like 5 shots this guy, 5 shots this guy, and it might be a 3-2 game because they were efficient with those opportunities. They took their chances. And I've noticed when watching a lot of FUT Champs or the finals is whoever controls the match is going to win most of the games. Do you control the tempo? Do you control, are we going wide? Are we going down the middle? Are you able to win the ball back quickly, or do you have to sit everyone back and kind of wait it out? But whoever controls that match, just like real life, that's why Barcelona's always been so special in terms of a football club, at least in my era of watching football, is because of that tiki-taka, and they control the pace of the game. And then when they lose it, they rush you real quick. I know they just had a terrible, terrible situation with PSG. I'm aware. That was probably the best PSG we've seen and one of the worst Barcelonas we've ever seen in this same era. And Barca was playing all their stars. They just didn't seem as motivated. They didn't want it as bad. And it's sad that I have to say that. How do you not want it if you're in the Champions League? Maybe if you're at Barcelona, you can start to get too comfortable, too lax. Because a couple of the goals they gave up, outside of it being mistakes in the midfield, they didn't even chase back hard. They didn't even push the tempo. But you see, I finished 15th in the world, which made me very proud to be able to represent you guys well. And I know that there's going to be a discontinuation of this series a little bit this month. But outside of that, we'll be back into the bread and butter. I don't even know if I'm going to play all the games because I'm going out of town, and I already had the disconnect situation. But if you enjoyed it, make sure to drop a thumbs up. I embrace you. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any information or predictions about everything that's happening this weekend, because I think it's just so much is going to be a toss-up. We're going to have a lot of people talking like we got something happening, and nobody really knows. I mean, I can't be in the head of all the competitors on who's feeling confident and who's feeling like, I'm kind of shaky. But until next time, peace.